So now, ladies and gentlemen, live and in colour, it's Mr. Wayne Lovejuice.
The other day our producer Louis had a chat with an interesting chappie who said that the YouTube algorithm really aren't that happy if a channel only broadcasts once a week, so we decided we could text ya whenever we've got a piece of news in our new book on the track extra. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name's John Downs. I'm the director of the Centre for Fortean Zoology, and welcome to another episode of On the Track Extra. For those of you who don't know, on Saturday afternoons at 3 we do a show called On the Track, and at 6:30 on Wednesday evenings we do a quarter of an hour show, half as long as the Saturday show, called On the Track Extra, and this is the latest episode of that. Now, ladies and gentlemen, look what I have got here. I have finally won my battle with those jolly nice people at the accounts department at Amazon, and I have finally managed to get my credit card linked up to the Animals and Men account. So I can finally buy copies, and I have bought the first hard copy, or my first hard copy, of the new issue 73, and I thought in order to celebrate the fact I should probably go through what's in this issue. I keep on getting the two words mixed up. But that's because I'm a silly old man rapidly approaching his dotage. I will go through this issue and show you what's in it. And then, what will I do? I'll do a shameless plug so you can buy it. Let's have a bash at this. By the way, just in case you don't know, Animals and Men is the journal of the Centre for Fortean Zoology, and a bit like this show, it is a mixture, a mélange, if you like, of hard science, weird shit, and surreality. Am I going to tell you what surreality is? No, I'm not. Because I'm too busy telling you what's in this magazine. Starts off with the editorial, which has got me on the picture up there back when I had far more hair than I have now, in which I tell the story about how I was admitted to North Devon District Hospital with a great urgency because they thought I was just about to have a heart attack, and how everybody, all my well-wishers and people who are kind, friends who I don't even know, contacted me, and they were very, very sweet to me. And I am very grateful for your kindness. And then I talk about the CFZ expedition to Tajikistan, which took place at the end of August. I don't give any of the details of what happened because Richard and the boys are now back from Tajikistan. He's in the other room, and we are later on, after I finish filming this episode of On the Track Extra, we're going to be filming some stuff about it, and it will be coming to you sooner rather than later. What I'm hoping to do is have a couple of standalone shorts and then at least one, probably two shows on the subject of what happened. And it's interesting here we talk about how recently it's been claimed that the Siberian tiger and the Caspian tiger are the same subspecies, which is an interesting idea. It's not necessarily one I agree with. Personally, I am always very wary when governments start playing taxonomy, because I'm always remembered of what happened in the 1960s when Japanese scientists proclaimed a new species, the pygmy blue whale, and most people in the West believed that this was just an excuse to kill smaller and smaller specimens of the blue whale, which is the magnificent, largest creature, largest mammal anyway, ever to have lived, largest vertebrate ever to have lived. Then we have Peter Burns' obituary. Wonderful man, he's somebody I always wanted to meet. Sadly, as he just died, just shy of his 98th birthday, I never will, not until I join him in the hereafter. Now, here we have a cartoon done by a charming and very talented young lady called Jenny Jr., and it's about extinction, specifically about the Carolina parakeet, and we have matched that up with a little article about Carolina parakeets and their place in both cryptozoology and in the historical zoology of North America. Then we come to Newsfile, and the Newsfile starts off with a new species of Chinese toad, a new species of nurse frogs. In fact, it's several new species of nurse frogs from South America, a new species of Chinese freshwater crab, and the saddleback toads, as a re-evaluation of saddleback toads taxonomy, an interesting re-evaluation of the barb family, which is very interesting, particularly as so many of the barbs are of economic importance in the aquarium trade. And then we have an article. I had no idea there was such a thing as aquatic anoles. I've seen anoles out doing their anole thing in Florida and in parts of Mexico and in Puerto Rico, but I didn't know any of them were aquatic. So there's a new species of aquatic anole, and it's semi-aquatic anole, and it's very exciting. And now there's a new species of Pristomantis, which is also exciting because Pristomantis are one of my favourite small frog genuses. Is that genuses or genii? I'm not really sure. Then we've got a new species of legless lizard, a new species of dasyurid from two new species of dasyurid from Australia. Unfortunately, neither of them are the thylacine, and they're both teensy weensy little things, but both very, very interesting. And then there is a new species, which is very interesting, of South American spiny mice. And as the CFZ came across a new species of spiny mouse some years ago, this is a subject that's particularly dear to my heart. But then we have a rather unlikely story about how a Bigfoot in Missouri from a place called Shell Knob. Richard, what do you think of a town called Shell Knob?
Well, I think they must be full of good old-fashioned spunk.
And apparently this spunky little Bigfoot stole some peanut butter. And there's pictures of the peanut butter. Yes, this is the only show that you are ever going to be able to watch on a Wednesday evening, showing you pictures of allegedly tampered with peanut butter. That's unless you go to the Peanut Butter channel. Now we have an article by me on the latest unsuccessful steps in the reintroduction of cheetahs to India, which I think was doomed from the start, though now 9 out of 20 have died, and that's just ridiculous. And followed that we talk a bit about the infamous Berlin lioness, which turned out not to be a lioness. We talk about the giant eel in Canada that we're running a investigation into at the moment. Then we have the final truth about the golden frogs of South Devon, which is a subject that had fascinated me for nearly 30 years, and I have written out the story in full, and we have come to not only a conclusive and rather cogent answer, but we have looked into the background of the story in some detail. And then we're talking about immigrant butterflies, which is rather nice. That's in the UK. Butterflies and moths, including the fact that this, which is undoubtedly a black-veined white, a species which Richard actually saw in Russia about 10 years ago and came back telling me how beautiful they were and wanted to know what it was. I was quite surprised to find out that they actually existed in Britain up until just after the First World War. And now it does look as if somebody is doing an unofficial reintroduction program. Now, I've talked about reintroduction programs before and how, in my humble opinion, with the amount of red tape there is wrapped around official reintroduction programs, as long as people are doing it sensibly and are doing it with creatures that should be in Britain, in habitats into which they should be living, I personally don't see anything wrong with it. But no doubt the people from DEFRA are now going to call it hate crime, and they are going to come and drag me off. And because we're in bed with America so much these days, I'm going to end up being the first fat, crippled cryptozoologist to be sent to Guantanamo Bay. And then, carrying on, I go on and on and on about reintroduced butterflies, and then we have the transcript of the first part of an interview which I did with M.K. Davis about his controversial theories on the Patterson-Gimlin Bigfoot film. Part 2, which will again be transcribed by Gwyn Palmer, will be in the next issue. In fact, I said that it was done by me. It was done mostly by me, but Richard was there as well and came out with some very useful questions and useful observations. Then we have the echo tree, or the parrot tree, which I found fascinating, even though it is not cryptozoology. It's certainly Fortean biology, because the idea of a tree that can echo back sounds like a parrot or a minor bird, I find the idea of that absolutely fascinating and oddly believable. The guy who wrote it for me, a guy called André Kawaj, has written about 2 other mystery trees, which are both ones that have interesting lessons for cryptozoology, so they're going to be in the next 2 issues of Animals and Men. Then we have a dragon encounter from a man called Teodo, who sent this to me some years ago, And in the complete chaos which accompanied my dear wife's final illness and eventual death, I can't find his original email, so I don't have any better contact details for him. But Teodo, if you're watching this, please get in touch, because I want to give you full credit. And then we have book reviews, mostly a very interesting book by a lady called Cathy Baird called Meetings with Moths that I found fascinating. And then we have the letters. The letters page followed by the latest books from our publishing arm. And that, boys and girls, is about it. You can find this for sale on Amazon, and in 3 months' time, the beginning of December, when issue 74 comes out and will be on sale on Amazon, this will also be uploaded to be able to be read for free as a flip book on the CFZ website. Well, I hope you enjoyed this shameless plug, because I'm rather proud of this magazine. We're up to issue 73. I've been doing it ever since 1994, and Richard Freeman joined me in 1997, and we've been really, I don't know about you, Rich, but I'm very proud of this magazine. I think we've done very well. As far as I know, it's the longest standing cryptozoological publication in the world. Not just the longest standing at the moment, but the longest standing that there has ever been. So, yay for us! I hope you enjoy it, and I look forward to hearing your comments on it. Or at least I hope I do. So, until then, I'll see you next time.